classes and sort of household classes, but it might be that local organizations do that very well too, and in which case we would support them and promote them.
Can it help as far as like practical implementation of greener practices and tax credits associated with them as far as renewable energy programs? Does your MBA folks from the law schools and stuff, do they kind of help? I imagine that the process of applying for those credits and getting them from a tax perspective is not easy.
We have, among other things, it's funny that you mentioned that, one of the most popular things we've had, it's been on hiatus for a few weeks, is a weekly column directed towards smaller enterprise on federal issues specifically. And so initially we had a series called Unpacking the Stimulus Package. And yes, the grad students would research a new project and then write it in a way that would be relevant to small business each week. So we talk about things like tax credits, incentives. We talk about new regulatory things that might affect you. We covered a lot about the SBA and about the different gap loans that the SBA was offering. So not necessarily even environmentally specific, but broadly related to your business. And we'll continue that. I imagine that we will get into analysis of all of the major federal issues and some state issues from a small business perspective over time. So that's the first part of it. The second part is, I think in your online discussion with students, you can also then seek some assistance that way on those issues. Did you have a question? Okay. No. Another question? You're poised. That's Darsh. Anybody else? Back there?
Just a quick one here on how many people did you say or businesses were already signed up?
So we have a little over 70 businesses right now. Most of those are in the Triangle. So Durham, Chapel Hill, Raleigh, I think are probably the three biggest groups. We have 20 businesses between Pennsylvania and Arkansas now. And the program was launched in the Triangle in April, so we're about 5 months along. Of those businesses, have we certified 6?
9.
We've certified 9 businesses. So and most of those are in state.
Yes.
Yeah. So far the ratio of getting certification on a fairly early basis has been about roughly 1 in 5. So some businesses are, Chapel Hill Restaurant Group is amazing, from A to Z. And I think they were the only business to sort of qualify right off the bat, because what they had done in every way you could think of was exemplary. But most businesses, even if they're great in a green area or they're great just flat out in their business performance, there are some things that they go through the exam and they say, oh, gee, I didn't think of that. That's something I could do. Or they come up with half a dozen questions and say, I don't know how that would work for us, and I need to find out about that, and that's where we then try to help them think of some new things that they haven't gotten into yet. Yes?
How does a business become part of your group of resources? I work for Triangle Transit. I'm a marketing coordinator, and we provide regional public transit services. We also help businesses to develop alternative transportation programs for their employees. And what we haven't been as successful in is reaching out to the smaller employers. We currently provide service to over 200 major employers across the Triangle, but we don't have very many smaller employers. So how do we become a resource for them?
I think that's a great example of something that I kind of forgot to touch on. So are you a nonprofit or a for-profit, by the way?
We're nonprofit.
Okay.
We're public transportation.
Yes. Okay, good. I assumed that, but you never know. So we partner with a number of organizations on offering content or services, but we have stuck to nonprofit, academic, and some government services. So we have not yet partnered with a private sector company, because we have a lot of consultants coming to us and saying, well, I want to be the consultant for GreenPlus, and that's not it's not a business we're trying to be in, and you're not really sure how you vet people and all. That's not quite where we are. But in terms of the work you're doing, that's a perfect fit for what we're trying to do. So we're trying to offer businesses as many resources as possible in this area. So I'd like you to talk with Sarah Kate and Kirsten afterwards, because we want to get to know you. In terms of some content partnerships, a couple that we're developing are, for instance, with an organization called Winning Workplaces. Winning Workplaces is a nonprofit in Chicago. They have developed a great set of tools for employers to engage their employees in the success of their business. Winning Workplaces does the evaluation for the Wall Street Journal every year for its 15 best American workplaces. And they have great educational tools. They didn't have a very broad exposure. And so by partnering with them and offering what they can share, we can help businesses in a variety of areas that way. The North Carolina Department of Energy and Natural Resources has free, generally, and I think that they have cut back this budget year, but in general, they have free or heavily discounted energy and water audits that they offer small businesses that nobody really knows about. So that's another way. There's also, there are organizations called benefits banks. And so a lot of people out there are eligible for things like earned income tax credits, Pell Grants, and the like, and either don't know it or haven't gone through the process. And so we're also trying to connect smaller employers with them. North Carolina is developing a benefits bank. It exists in 8 states right now. But, for instance, talking about restaurants, talking about landscapers, they might be great places to work, but they still have a number of folks who would qualify for an earned income tax credit or a child care credit. So we're trying to bring as many tools, not that we develop, but that are well developed and just could use more exposure to you. You were the first in the back. Anybody else in the back? The back was pretty quiet. Yes.
I suspect that for many of us, it's the same challenge that we don't have the resources to hire a sustainability manager.
Mm-hmm.
All of us who are trying to make things happen have our other jobs that we do every day.
Right.
And trying to integrate the launch of sustainability initiatives into that is a challenge for us.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if you have resources that say, if you really want to get it off the ground, here's some first steps to put a committee together.
Mm-hmm.
We're kind of struggling with making that.
Yeah, well, I'll give you 2 thoughts on it. So my grandmother, who will turn 96 next Tuesday, used to follow us around the house and turn off the lights, and then she would say, Christopher, why did you leave the lights on? That's wasting electricity. And she would do that with a water faucet, and she'd do that if we use the phone too much. And so frequently we'll call this my grandmother's sustainability program. The idea behind this is really, in a way, to mirror that. It's to mirror, it doesn't need to be out there and too complicated. It needs to be some basic things that when people put kind of 2 and 2 together and realize, for instance, that 40% of most office electricity use is between the hours of 5:30 p.m. and 8:30 in the morning. Why is that? Because everybody leaves their computers on all night. Well, my grandmother would be horrified by that. And I think that most employees also, if they get on board in this and they realize, gee, our business is helped if we don't waste, my job security is helped, my future with the company is helped if we're not kind of throwing money away. That's what we're trying to do. And we can provide some kind of assistance and kind of getting people started and getting on board. And also, we do networking things with so getting a variety of businesses together so you can learn from the businesses themselves. Because we hear this all the time. Sometimes you have a champion in an organization who's really gung-ho.